that you can. Can you hear me? Hi Michael. Hi Sophia. I've like
Hi Vera, I can hear you now.
that's great. Welcome everybody to AMA, right? Ask me anything, and yeah, this is us kickstarting. We are live already, just in case I haven't mentioned that. Yes. So yeah, let's get right into it. Basically, we have the AMA is asking anything webinar where you can ask content marketers anything about content marketing. Well, I should rephrase that because it's not like it's centered on content marketing, but this month is centered on that. Right? And so we have three speakers, three industry experts on content marketing. We've got Michael Oladile from Carry Wise. We've got Olori Reme from, I hope I pronounced that right, Reme.
Yes,
I can pronounce it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We've got Reme from Vendit and Sophie from Stella. These three people are, see, I don't even want to go too deep into this, right? The vision for AMA is to make sure that it's not the typical webinar, like it's not the typical Twitter space. This space is where you can ask literally anything. And I know it sounds cliche, right? But that's exactly what it is. But these three people are okay, so these three people are industry expert, like I said, and they are very well capable of answering any questions that you would have on content marketing. So yeah, I think I've already briefly introduced them, but I think that they should also say something. So Michael, will start with you. Please say hello and introduce yourself basically very quickly, and then Sophie, you're next, and Reme after that.
All right. Hi guys. Good afternoon. My name is Michael, and I'm a content marketing manager. I've been in marketing for about 6 years now. I started off with community management, and then did a little bit of content writing, and I reached 2 years and 6 months ago. I joined Cowrywise, a fintech company in Lagos, Nigeria, and I was doing product growth marketing, basically acquisition, user retention, all the product marketing stuff. And then after some time there, I delved fully into marketing, into content marketing to lead the content marketing effort at Cowrywise. So that's what I'm currently doing. It's nice to be here. Can't wait to hear your questions and see how we can answer all of them. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much, Michael. Sophie.
Hey. Hi everyone, can you hear me? Just to confirm.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good. Hi everyone, I'm Sophia, content marketing lead at Seller. When I heard Michael say he has over 6 years of experience, I was like, what am I doing here? My bosses. But yeah, I have about 4 years of experience in content marketing. Currently, I lead content marketing efforts at Seller. So my job really is helping the business grow through content. What kind of content campaigns can we launch to help increase our brand awareness, increase user adoption, user retention, and everything in marketing. Um, Aside, sometimes I just think I should point out that sometimes I don't like the writing part, but it's fine because you never run out of you never run away from your roots, right? But yeah, that's pretty me in a nutshell. Content marketer. I started with content writing, SEO, and today I lead content marketing efforts at Seller.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You guys are looking so fine. Reme. please
Yeah,
introduce.
hi everyone. Yes, you can call me Reme, by the way. You don't have to call me Olohireme.
Thank you.
So hi everyone. My name is Olohireme, but everybody calls me Reme. I am a content marketer at Vendy's. I've kind of been in marketing for about 4 years. I've worked I've worked in sectors ranging from like pharmaceuticals to like tech startups like fintech, event.
Hi, Reme. We can't hear you. Sophie, can you hear Reme?
Oh no, I can't actually. I think she probably dropped off.
Okay, I'm guessing it's network issues. But there you have it, right? So we have Michael, Sophie, and Reme here, and just like they've said, you already know that their bosses are what they do, right? We're just going to go right into our first agenda, right? And that's Michael, and he'll be talking about how to go about content marketing for tech startups. Now, we're opening with this because it's a very nice opener for us to talk about what content marketing is and how it pertains to tech startups in particular, right? Of course, he's going to touch on different points, and yeah, at the end of this session, right, you can ask him questions based on what he has spoken about. Michael, this is you.
All right, thank you very much, Vera, and I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Okay, so I'm going to just do a brief of like what I do at work, basically, because I work in the startup and oh, you can't see me. I work in the startup and I do content marketing, so I guess I can give some context into how to go about content marketing for startups. So yeah, if anyone has any question based off that, I think we can then proceed. So let's say this is January 2024, and we're looking at what we want to do with content marketing at my current place of work. So the first question is, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, are we trying to gain more users? Are we trying to maybe run a user acquisition campaign and want to use content to drive that? Or are we launching a new product soon and want our existing users to adopt that particular product? Or are we just trying to do regular brand awareness? We want people to know more about the company, we want people to fall in love with the company, we want people to be excited about the company. So yeah, we're going to sit down together as a team, myself and the rest of the marketing team, and define what the goals are, and then that would then influence the next thing, target audience. So yeah, we've talked about what we want to achieve. We want to get more users, current users, to adopt a particular product. So let's say the product is, let's say we're a savings and investment company, right? Well, now we want university students to be able to save towards maybe their next semester or something, or their project work, final year students, people to save towards their project work. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we use content to drive that particular goal? So we figured out what the goal is, to get the students to adopt this new product that allows them to save towards their projects. And then the target audience is obviously the students who are already our users anyway. So the next thing is, what kind of content would actually attract this kind of people? I will get them to use the product. So now this is where the real work comes in, right? Because if you don't start off with the goal and the target audience in mind, anything works really. You can decide to dance and put it up as content. You can decide to do an Instagram reel. You can decide to start writing long threads on Twitter. All of those work, right? But if you're already trying to target a group of people who are already your users and you want them to adopt a particular feature, a particular product that you already have anyway, the best way to do it would be to let them experience it in app. And I'm talking specifically for product-led companies now, for companies who have an app for, I mean, basically fintech, right? So you want to infuse that particular content into the app. Now, why is it important that it infuses into the app? Basically, because they already use your app. They are already familiar with how the brand works. They are not strangers. They don't have trust issues. You're not trying to convert them to be users. They already use your app. They've already signed up. They probably added their BVN. They probably added their other private details that they wouldn't have added if they didn't trust your brand. So the most important thing is to upsell these new features to them, to make them see why it's actually important and to make them see why they should adopt it. So let's say before, all they've been doing is maybe saving towards rent, saving towards matriculation, talking in regard of in student space now. Now you want to introduce something new to them. So what kind of content would attract these people? So from experience now, this is something I've tried before. During my time, my current place of work, we wanted to introduce people to other features that were not as used as our main savings and investment feature. And what we did was just to record a series of videos. So I came up with the content for a video series, and I wrote a couple of video scripts, passed it, looked at it over with my media manager. We decided to shoot a series of videos, 6 videos in particular, talking about those particular products and why they're important. So instead of just leaving things to chance or sending out emails, when you log into the app as a new user or as a returning user, you have access to these videos. And when you watch this video, at the end of this 60 minutes video, this is 60 seconds video, 90 seconds video, what you see is a CTA that says, oh, start saving for your final year projects. And you don't have to go far. You're already in the app. So the moment you click on that, it takes you to where you can start saving for your final year project. Perfect. Now, this example, I gave this example because it helps you to see how determining the goal and the audience, and particularly where you want to host your content, is very important in content marketing. Because that same video could have gone on Instagram, could have generated 50K views. I mean, who knows, right? But how many people are going to click on that link? First of all, you can't click on any link on Instagram anyway. You have to click on the link in bio. That already breaks the transmission because nobody's going to your bio to click any link. That's the first thing. And even if they actually do click on that link, a lot of people are going to drop off. Some people are like, oh, I don't have data to check the app right now, or I don't have money in my account right now. A lot of things are going to happen. Before you know it, if 10,000 people see the video, 1,000 of them actually like go to click on the link. Maybe only 100 of them eventually end up where they're supposed to end up. And maybe only like you just have to keep breaking it down to 10% and 10% so that you can be realistic. Now, if you're actually trying to achieve like proper progress, you want to do something that is going to be remarkable, the best thing is to figure out the best place to host your content. Now, because you already know your target audience, you know the goal you're trying to achieve, you're not going to be chasing vanity metrics that will, how many people watch the video? Oh, we have 10,000 views on TikTok. Oh, we have 100,000 impressions on Twitter. Why those numbers are great, they don't add to the business goal. The business goal is that these people actually come and save their money for their final year projects. So what happens when 100,000 people have watched the video on Twitter, but not a lot of them have actually tried to take any action? That shows where the problem is right there. You're trying to achieve a goal that is targeted towards people already using your products, but you decide to take the content out of the product to the external space, to social media, where there's a lot of people who know your products, people who use your computer, people are not even interested in anything, just vibing on a Saturday, on a Friday night, and they just stumbled upon your video. Now, so I could like backtrack a little bit. So now we've recorded this set of videos, we've uploaded them on the app. First of all, what we can do is we can track better because it's our app. We have a lot of events that we're tracking. We can understand how many people are watching this video every day. What is the most watched video? Which of these videos is actually getting people to convert? Okay, can we now replicate this particular video? Can we do more of it? A lot of people who do content marketing look at it from a straight, narrow perspective, which is we create content, we blast it everywhere possible, and then we see how many people can actually like see the results and everything. And why that works for some particular goals, if you're intentional about people converting, sometimes the best kind of content is the one that you put in a place where not a lot of people are seeing it. It's just for the target audience. Just the right kind of people are seeing it, and they're seeing it at the right time because they're already on the app, they're about to take an action anyway, and you're nudging them to take the action that you want them to take. So basically, how do you do like content marketing for a fintech startup? You think differently. That's just it. You think differently. You don't just think of posting across social media, posting across YouTube, just doing anything on the app, just blasting emails to people. You think differently. You think, or instead of sending these emails to everybody, why don't you send people who are more likely to actually take this action because they've taken a recent action in the past? And then I send another email to those other ones and nudge them to maybe read an article or watch a video to encourage them. So instead of creating like the same content for everybody, blasting it across all platforms, you think differently as someone who's working in the tech startup. Because first of all, you're not spending a lot of money, you're still a startup, you're still trying to do a lot of things with limited resources. And at the same time, you're probably working with few hands, a startup, you don't have like maybe 20 member marketing team or something. So it's just you and your brain. So a lot of thinking differently, a lot of doing things differently, and a lot of focusing on what the right metrics are for growth as opposed to just chasing vanity metrics. So yeah, I think that's a good introduction, Vera. I hope that helps anyone. I don't know if I've answered any question, but yeah, that's it.
Yes, it definitely does. A powerful way to start, if I may add. So trying to paraphrase everything that you said, right? Not just putting out content on, blasting content on every platform, targeting the platforms that would offer more results, right? And targeting the right people. Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Michael on how to, do content marketing for tech startups? Because that's what he just spoke about. If you have a peculiar situation, you're working at a startup, you might want to ask that question, right? While you're noting down your questions, of course, you can leave your questions as comments, and I'd see them and definitely ask them for you, right? So, yeah, while you're thinking of your questions, to put them up as comments, Sophia will come on board and she'll be talking about content marketing and SEO, winning the visibility game. So just to let me go back a bit, right? So we've talked about content marketing for startups. You've started content marketing, right? You're targeting the right people, you're going on the right platforms, right? Just to ensure that your efforts are actually yielding high level results. How exactly do you stay visible? How exactly do you work with the whole search engine, Google and whatnot? And that's what Sophia is about to talk about. And let me just add that Sophia knows her onion, right? So definitely you're definitely in that phase, but you're definitely in the right spot and you're in very good hands. So Sophia.
Thank you very much, Vera. Can you hear me? Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Vera. Even though you're whining me, but it's fine. I'll take it. So I've been asked to talk about content and SEO, playing the visibility game, and that's a very interesting topic because for me, sorry, for me, SEO is one of the marketing methods that I like the results. That's because it doesn't give you instant results, but when you're consistent and you decide to play the long-term game, you get enough results that you can use to run your mouth. And that's why I really think SEO is a very interesting marketing method. And I really want to start by saying that the visibility game is a long game. So here's why. SEO is search engine optimization, right? And that's in layman's words, it's optimizing for search engine. What's a search engine? It's Google, it's Binge, and the rest of them, right? So now, search engine is a very vast, large, cumbersome, whatever it is. It's literally a source of knowledge that's powering lots of websites on the internet. Websites that have all different ages. Websites that maybe started, some people started like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, just different time frames, right? And there's you who is working or who's doing SEO for a startup or a B2B, and you just want to write and rank and just get people to convert from search engine. Firstly, it doesn't work like that. SEO, if you don't have patience, SEO is going to teach you patience. Now, here's why. SEO generally is two things. It's content and then it's links, right? So you need to have something to put on these search engines for people to be able to find you. And for them to find you, you don't want them to just stop at just seeing that one article that you have. You want them to go from reading this first article to the next article to the next article. You just really want their journey to increase. You don't want any break, like Michael said, you don't want to break their journey in any point. And that's why SEO is important because it has two parts, content, and then it has links. Now, for me, I like to add a third thing, which is patience, because Google will stress you. They will try you. They will do different things. Even when you think that you're putting in so much effort, it's only SEO that I know that you could put in maximum effort, and maybe the results you're seeing is not what you expect to see. It's SEO. So that patience part is very important. So SEO is two things, content and links, and me, I'm adding patience because you need it. So let's talk about content, links, and then I'll share a few tips for you if you're doing SEO for a B2B brand. So content is information, right? It's what you feed your readers. It's what Google uses to rank you on search engine. It's your introduction, or it's your, when people say put your best foot forward, your content is you putting your best foot forward because you're competing against other websites on the internet. So that's how Google knows or judges you if you're worth the first page, if you're worth the 10th page. It's the content that you put out. This means that the content you put out needs to be helpful and relevant. Now, while that's a a good term to use. I feel like it's a common term. So everybody tells you to write content that's helpful and relevant. And you just see people using this word helpful and relevant in different capacities. So you start asking yourself, so what's helpful and relevant content? So this is what for me I think helpful and relevant content really is. Firstly is content that focuses on one topic per time and writes it or and explains it in the best way possible. So you're writing an article on, say, best digital products to sell online. You're focusing on that. You want to make sure that you're giving your users, your readers, sorry, the best digital product they can actually sell online that would give them money. So you don't want to be writing that about best selling digital products online, and then maybe somewhere in your article you're writing something abstract. Or let me give this very typical example. Maybe you're writing an article on how to make a bath with hot water, and then somewhere in your article you start with what is water. And when your editor asks you, you say, "Oh, that's helpful and relevant content." Is that really what helpful and relevant content means to you? Are you saying that people don't know what water is? So if your content needs to be helpful or relevant or valuable, it needs to have a focus point. It needs to be focused on one thing. And something I do or something I use that helps me ensure that I'm really focusing on the most important parts of that topic is to leverage the power of one, which is focusing on one thing. What's the one information I want to pass to one person at this time? I focus on that and make sure I use that to also write my article. So another thing about helpful content is content that has depth. Now, depth doesn't equal length. So I'm not telling you that for your content to have depth means that you have to write a 3,000 word article. That's not depth. So depth, as I like to define it, is knowledge and expertise. How much of something you know from either experiencing it or researching from it. So combining these two would give you a content that has depth. So you notice that when your content has enough depth, in other words, you know this thing, maybe not because you experienced it, but because you've done so much research. Personally, I don't write crypto articles because I can't even do research about it. So I know what I can research about, and I know what I know, and I know that I can write an article on SEO faster than I can write an article about crypto. That's experiential knowledge. So because as a content marketer, you will not just write about things you know. Sometimes you have to do research, you have to learn. These are not things that you've experienced. So yeah, that's why you have to combine what you know with what you've learned from research. Putting that together would help give your content depth that it needs. And then even to even show you how important this is, Google released this their its criteria for ranking, EEAT. Yes, first one is expertise, I think. Expertise, experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, which means your content needs to have, it needs to show that you have experience. It needs to show that you have this knowledge. It needs to show that you're in the right position to write about it. And because you're in the right position, in other words, because you've established yourself as a thought leader, it means that people can trust your information. Anything coming out from you, people can trust it because you've proven yourself over time that, oh, I know this thing so much and I've established myself as a thought leader in this industry. And that's why sometimes you see that a 1,000 word article that you wrote about something, maybe something about your product, something that you really spent a lot of time researching on, would do better than a 3,000 word article that you just put together because, oh, this keyword is actually very good. Let's just write about it and let's just get this traffic. So SEO makes you learn how to be intentional about the kind of content that you put. And then lastly, helpful content is content that has a niche. It has an industry. You can group it into somewhere. You know that this kind of article belongs to this. For example, let's say Seller is a platform that enables people to sell digital products online, right? Now you come to our blog and imagine that you see something about investments, let's say just like Cowrywise. Cowrywise is a fintech. And you see something like top 10 investments, something to invest your money in. That's not how I want to say what does light have to do with darkness, but that's very extreme. But like it doesn't really relate, doesn't align because these articles belong under two different industries. So if you're going to be putting things, just joining content together and just trying to have more content because somebody told you that the more content you have, the more traffic you get. While that is true, it has repercussions in the long run. And for SEO, because you know that the results are not instant, you want to make sure that you get the things you're doing right from the first go, and not 5 years or 3 years later you have to start all again. So the second part of SEO is links. So links is like a network of information. So I have this, I'm holding this person's. Think of it like the family tree you drew in primary school, from your grandparents to your parents to you, your siblings to your children to your children's children. Just all of that, that connection is what links are. And there are two types of links. There are internal links and there are external links. What internal links lead direct up, links going to other articles or other posts or other content within your website, and there are external links, which are links going from your website to another site. So you need a healthy balance of these two things to help your article rank better. So if you have an article on, let's say, let's give an example, um, best digital products you sell online, and because you're trying to apply the topic cluster strategy, so you have most profitable digital products, or how to build a business with digital products. You see that all of these things are somehow similar, and somebody who is learning about the best digital product to sell online may be interested in learning about how to build a business with digital products, because if you want to know the digital product to sell online, chances are you're trying to sell a digital product online. And if you're selling something online, means you have a business. So that's why internal links are very important, because then it tells Google that, oh, this article is not just the only one. This is another article that is similar to this. This is another article that is similar to this. And the good thing is, as long as those articles that you've written all align with your industry, it helps to boost your authority on search engine. And that's why you can close your eye and write a random 1,000 word article about something that's still related in your niche. And even if you don't optimize it very well, you'll still rank. That's the partiality of Google. So playing the visibility game, again, as I like to say, is a long-term game. And I have noticed 5 different things in this SEO thing, in doing SEO for a B2B brand, that I really want to share with you guys. That's very important. Firstly, is that when you're researching for keywords for your brand, for the content you're working on, whether you want it to rank number one, I mean, of course, everybody wants it to rank number one, but at the end of the day, Google has the final say, yeah? So when researching for keywords, focus on your core product offering. That becomes your seed keyword. That becomes your foundational keyword. So here's what I mean. Seller, again, helps people to sell digital products online. So the core offering that seller gives is that it helps you to sell digital products online. So selling digital products online is what seller helps you to do. And that becomes our seed keyword. So if we want to rank on search engine, the first thing we want to do is be solid on that sell digital products online. That's why if you go on searching on Google today and type anything about selling digital product online, you would see a seller article. And that's because your seed keywords are that's the foundation of all the articles you're going to be writing about. And then secondly, the users, people you're trying to target, will have variations of would enter variations of that your seed keyword to land on your website. So here's what I mean. My seed keyword is sell digital products online. Somebody that is coming may not necessarily type sell digital products online. They wouldn't do that. They would look for something like most profitable digital products to sell online. Digital products to sell that will give me 5,000 naira immediately. Now, these are different variations of my seed keyword, but when you look at it, you still see that my seed keyword is inside there, which is sell digital products online. And I'm tying that to my core products offering because that's what seller is about. So the first thing you want to do is be solid on that. Write an article about selling digital products online. Talk about your product because it's content marketing, it's SEO you're doing, right? You're not just doing it because you want to be informative. You also want to tie it to business goals. You want people to see your product as something that will help them do something. So talk about your product inside. Make sure you optimize your article and make sure that even if you're not number one, you're number two for your seed keyword. So that when people start to search different variations of that keyword and they start to come to your site or they start to type different things, Google already knows that, okay, this guy is about selling digital products online. So anybody that searches for anything related to this or anything in a different format or in a different arrangement, they put you first. Secondly is your top ranking page wouldn't always be an SEO article. No, here's why. Because for a B2B brand, it makes sense if you're starting your blog with your product guides, how to do XYZ on your product, on your product, how to, this how to articles that teaches people how to do different things on your product, or just teaches people different things about your product. And then you want to combine that with other SEO articles that are probably informative, telling people if your product helps them to sell things online. You want to also have other SEO articles like best digital products to sell online again, because that's a typical example. Because when you know the digital products you sell online, I'm recommending Seller to you as a place you can actually sell these products online. So if you do your SEO right and you rank for your targeted keywords, here's the thing: people wouldn't always convert from that article. They wouldn't always click that your CTA button that says sign up or join or subscribe or whatever it is. And there's really nothing wrong with that, because we already know that 90% of customers who search for things are not ready to buy immediately. So it makes sense that if they are trying to learn more about your product, or they're trying to do something and they see a helpful article from you, and inside that article you recommended your product, they're like, okay, should we try this? Should we not try this? And then they see another helpful article from you, and they still see the same mention of your product inside. The next thing they want to do is to try to research more about your product. What is it about? What does it really do? This thing that you say it does, and that's why, depending on what they search, Google would not show them your SEO articles. It would show them your product guides. And so it's perfectly normal if you're having the highest page views, or your top ranking pages are your product guide or your how-to articles that are not entirely SEO optimized. It's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means that your buyer journey doesn't end at your SEO article. They have to go back and do their research. They have to learn more about your product and see if it truly fits their need. And then thirdly is to always use UTM links in your articles. UTM links helps you to track the conversion rate from an article. So if you're saying, oh, this my article has 1 million views, okay. So out of the 1 million people who have seen that article, how many of them have either have converted, whether it's to sign up on your product, or it's to use a discount, or it's to do anything? How many of them have done that? Right? So you always want to include a UTM link in your CTA button. It's very important. Outside of tracking the conversion rate from an article, it's your bragging rights, really. As a marketer, the only thing that gives you bragging rights is the results you've produced. So if you don't have results, you really can't call yourself a marketer. And one way to track your numbers to know if you're actually producing results is to use UTM links in your article. Then my fourth tip, hopefully I'm not running out of time, is that when you join a company newly to do SEO for them, don't try to outright the previous person or outperform. Now this is very tricky, right? You don't want to write better than the other person because you feel like, oh, I want to establish myself in this company, and my articles have to be 3,000 words or 1.5, whatever it is. Don't set such vanity goals. The first thing you want to do is house cleaning or housekeeping. Here's what I mean. You want to check for broken links, 404 links, thin articles. You want to check your site structure. You want to check your site map. You want to check everything, your SEO background, because you want to be sure that everything is intact. You can be writing a perfectly arranged or structured article, and you notice that you're not ranking for it, and you've done your internal linking, everything is spot on, but you're still not ranking for it. Chances are there's something wrong with your website. And at that time, it may be too late to correct it because you've already gone so far. And then you're seeing that every time there's a Google update, your traffic gets slashed by half. It just keeps going and going like that. And you're thinking, what's wrong? The problem is that your house is not tidy. So anytime you join a company, you need to do SEO. Something you really want to do is check your background to be sure that there are no errors that would affect you once you launch your own SEO strategy. And then lastly, as you plan the articles that you write, you also want to plan editing or refreshing them. Content refreshing is very important. One time I said something on Twitter that ranking is easy, and that's the truth. It's actually very easy. But to maintain that ranking over time and get the results that you want, you need to do constant updates, and that's where content refreshing comes in. You have to refresh your content. It means updating the information because every day something new. You're hearing of something new. If it's not AI being used in another form, it's just something else. So you, as a content marketer, you want to keep tabs on the content that you have on your site and arrange yourself or organize yourself in such a way that you know when to edit. Personally, I like to do my own quarterly. So we have 3 months per quarter. So I use the first 2 months to write and I use the last month to edit. So all the articles I wrote the, let's say, 6 months or to 1 year before, I start to refresh them, I start to edit them because I also want them to stay fresh. Because aside the numerous ranking factors, one of the things that Google really takes important is freshness. How fresh is your content? Of course, there are some people who have articles they've written since 2020 that are still ranking. That's, again, there are different factors that contribute to that. But because you know that you don't really have a competitive edge, you're just starting, maybe your domain authority is to like 10 or even less than 10. You want to make sure that those factors that you can't control, you control it. And one of them is making sure that your content is up to date, the information contained is up to date. So schedule times for content refreshing as much as you schedule times for writing new content. And I really hope these 5 tips I've shared from working as an SEO specialist and content marketer has or will help you, to refine your own SEO strategy. And then before I hand over this invisible microphone, I also want to point out that SEO mustn't be your primary strategy. So SEO doesn't work for everybody. You've probably heard this before. Even in the B2B space, it still doesn't work for everybody. So you have to figure out what marketing method or what marketing channel or marketing method is the most effective for your product, for your audience, and for the industry you operate in. And that will be all. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section and I will take them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sophia. That was very, very insightful and very educating. So yes, there are a couple of questions, right? Oh, I realized I wasn't hearing them. We've been getting a lot of compliments, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Raven is asking about backlinks. If you could talk about backlinks. I know you didn't mention that for
Yeah, time's sake.
ready from somewhere, so please come in.
Okay, so backlinks is very it's a very deep part of SEO. So some companies even have like an entire backlink program, and that's because backlinks are very important. So here's how to build backlinks as an early stage startup that nobody knows. First things first is be ready to hide your pride. Once you publish that article, you distribute it, you want it to be somewhere else, you want to write. So here's something I do. I go to Google and type for keywords that I want to rank for, right? So let's say something like sell digital products online or where to sell digital products online. I go there and I assess the results and I see which blog is ranking higher than the other blog. Why? What did they write? What did they put? Now, because I've seen that, okay, this blog is number one and they did not include my product, and I want them to include my product. Also, because they have a high domain authority that would help me. Because backlinks is more beneficial to you as a new site owner when the link that they're giving to you is from another site that has a higher domain authority than you. So think of domain authority as Google's way of, how they have like color codes or something. Think of it as Google's color code, right? So people who have domain authority of over 50, you just know that they can write for any keyword that they want to write and they'll rank for it, even if it's not number one, at least on the first page. But you that is still struggling with 1, 2, 5, 10, it will take you years to get there. So when you're trying to build backlinks, your strategy should be to focus on websites that have a higher domain authority than you. So if your own domain authority is like 5 or 3 or less than 10, you should be going for the sites with 30, 40, 50, like that. So that when they link to you, that what that does is they're telling Google that, oh, I know this person is new. but I trust this person. So please bring information from their site forward. So to build backlinks, firstly, like I said, get ready to put your pride, hide it. Because after you do that research, you know the keywords you want to write, you want to rank for, and the sites that you want to link to, you write to them. So there's something called guest posts and link exchanges. Guest posts is when you write an article and you publish it on another website. So I write an article on 5 different or something like online courses versus ebooks. Which one should you create? I don't want to put it on Seller's blog. What I will do is I'll reach out to somebody else, another blog. Now, this is not a B2B, a fellow B2B blog, because those ones can be very picky with the kind of articles they put on their site, especially if you guys are competitors. So you want to go for people who own blogs like WordPress blog, and they're just writing about different things. So if you look for those people who their industry somehow aligns with yours. For example, a blog that writes about business will be willing to take your guest post that is about online course versus ebooks. Which one should you create, or which one will give you the most money? So when you write an article like that, it will be good on your site, it will be good on Seller's blog. But because I want to get a backlink, that now becomes a guest post. So I am publishing it on another website. In return, what that does is I can put the link to Seller inside that article and they will publish it. Because they will publish it on their own website, automatically they've given me a link to my website. And it's a two-way thing. So when you publish a guest post on somebody's website, you have to give them something in return. So oftentimes, because you're reaching out to sites that have a higher domain authority and they know that you have a lower domain authority, they're not really doing it because they want to get something from it. They're doing it because they're trying to increase the content on their platform. So oftentimes they might tell you, okay, they also want to write and publish on your own blog, or they just want you to put a link in your own blog. So the first thing is guest post. Second thing is link exchanges. Again, you just reach out to this website and tell them, okay, I have a link that will be good for this place. Can you include it? So if you're lucky, they agree, they put it, and in return, you do the same thing. Another hack is to make sure that they give you a do follow link. A do follow link, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but a do follow link is something that it's a link that tells Google that you can share my domain authority with these people. So if you have a domain authority of 80, if the website you want to get a link from has a domain authority of 80, and you have a domain authority of 5, if it's a do follow link, it's like I'm passing my strength to you. So that's why sometimes some websites will just include the link and they wouldn't want to give you a do follow link. Instead, they want to give you a no follow link. A no follow link is telling Google that I'm not sharing my strength with these people. I'm not sharing my domain authority with these people. They just have a link on my website and that's it. And that's not really beneficial for your SEO. So we've talked about guest post, link exchanges. Another thing is press releases. So aside from blogs that have I feel like I'm already teaching backlinks right now instead of answering the question. But let me just conclude with this, right? So aside from what was I going to say? Aside from blogs that have stayed for so long in the internet, that have maybe blogs that have been operating for like 5, 6, 7 years, that have accumulated domain authority, other websites that have high domain authority are media houses. Example, Tech Cabal, Pulse News, The Punch, Guardian, all these people. And now you see that some of them accept contributing writers on their platform. So you can just put something together. It doesn't even have to be, the beauty of this strategy is that it doesn't even have to be an SEO article. You can just maybe write something about your product and how it's doing something for people, and then put it on that media house website. Just publish it there. Include your link, because when you include your link, it means that when they publish it, they're also sharing their domain authority or their strength with you. So these are 3 methods. You can always read up on the other methods, but I hope I've done justice to your question.
Thank you very much. See, I was not lying when I told you that Sophia knows her onion, and she just came here and she finished it. So there are a couple more questions actually, but because we're running on time, Rema will come up, but then I will still definitely ask the questions. So please keep them coming. Ijoma, I know that you've dropped 2 questions now, so Sophia is definitely going to answer them. But yeah, Rema will speak first, and then I'll push a question. Rema will be talking on content redistribution, right? So backtracking a little, Michael talked about, how to go about content marketing for tech startups. I mean, you've started, right? Focusing on the right channels, targeting the right people. And then Sophia just talked about how to stay visible, what to do, what not to do, focusing on your core offering, UTM links, housekeeping, content refreshing. Now, how exactly do we go about content redistribution, right? Because Sophia just talked about content refreshing. What is content redistribution and how can we master that? This is what Reme will be talking about, right? So Reme, you have the floor. Hi, Reme.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm having network issues, so you guys cannot see my beautiful face like you saw Michael's and Sophia's. But yeah, talking about content distribution, I think I'll start by kind of dumbing down what content distribution means. So it's basically the process of getting your content in front of potential customers via different channels, right? That's a simple way I can put it. Usually involves like publishing and promoting them in various formats across multiple channels. You might be asking yourself right now if this is really important. A lot of brands probably just post content on their blogs and leave it there. But the answer is yes, because people are not just sitting down on your blog. They're not just like refreshing your blog, like looking whether, oh, there's a new blog post up, there's a new article up, let's read it, let's do that. You need to distribute it across different channels. Basically, you need to meet your target audience where they are. You need to meet your target audience where they are so that they can see your content. If you want your audience to find and consume your content, you need to distribute. That's basically the reason why we're doing all of this right now, or the reason why I'm explaining all of this. If you asked me to categorize the channels that you can distribute content into 3 places, what I've always known is owned, earned, and paid. So owned channels are basically your blog, your social media channels, that's your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. If you have an email list as well, like a newsletter, that's also an owned channel. So basically, when I say owned channel, it means your own channel. Something that you don't have to put too much effort into publishing on your own channel is yours. Either your social media, like I said, your blog, your email. Hi, Ore. Sorry, I'm just seeing your comments. Hi. Your social media, your blog, your email. Own this kind of self-explanatory. So that's what I mean by owned channels. By earned channels, I mean that channels that you basically have to earn. You have to earn it for them to put it on their channel. So I mean like forums, comments, backlinks, guest posts, even reshares on social media as well. Like somebody else resharing your content either on their stories or retweeting or downloading your content from TikTok and sharing on Twitter. Those are earned channels. So that means your content is good, fantastic, helpful enough for someone else to deem it so useful that they reshare on their own channel. That's earned. Then you also have paid channels. That's basically ads. That's a very simple way to put it. Ads, sponsorships, whether social media or search ads, and then sponsorships as well. Like for example, if your brand was to sponsor an event and they are posting your content on their stories, on their social media, or they're displaying your content at the event, that's also a paid channel. Content typically gets published on your own channels first. That is your own channels. So typically you will see content posted on your blogs or maybe long form videos on YouTube first. So let's start from there when it comes to content distribution. I'm going to tell you guys a bit of how to distribute contents like that. But that's not to say that there aren't other types of content that you can distribute. You can still distribute stuff like interviews, case studies, if you have a white paper or a report, ebooks, guides, even your newsletters or like infographics that you posted. These are things that can also be distributed. So don't mistake me saying let's start from blogs and long form videos to those are the only types of content that you can distribute. I'm going to talk about 2 major strategies that you can use to distribute content across channels. We will start from the pull strategy. So basically, there are 2 strategies. I call them there's pull and then there's push. Starting from the pull strategy, that's basically using other channels to pull traffic to one of your own channels. So let me give a very good example. You post a blog post, for example, a long form blog post, maybe a 3,000 word blog post, um, telling you telling you about let's say event technology you should look out for in 2024. A way to distribute that content across channels is to post. You can post a tweet thread on these different kinds of event technology. Maybe you've listed 10 different types of event technology in your blog post. You can list out 5 in your thread, or 6 or 7, and then your thread can end with a call to action to read the blog post for a full version of the article, basically to learn more event technology trends. Another great example is if you work for a brand that posts or that creates regular white papers and reports, you can create a full-on white paper or a report, and then you can take tiny bits of those white papers and reports into blog posts or Twitter threads or Instagram posts, and then tell people with the call to action to go and download the full white paper or the full report. So basically, like I said before, using other channels to drive traffic to one owned channel is what we will call the pull strategy. So you are pulling, to make it easier, you are pulling people from other places into one place. Then there's the push strategy. The push strategy is what everybody, or almost everybody on this webinar, probably know as content repurposing. So that's basically repurposing content for other channels. It could be, like I've said before, posting a section of an ebook as a blog post, right? Or posting key points of a blog post as a Twitter thread. So in this particular case, you're not really drawing people to one particular owned channel. You're just repurposing the content as usual, right? So in the previous example that I gave, I said if you have a full white paper and you post just one point or one statistic from the white paper and you tell people to go and download the full report, that's pull. But then if you have a white paper and maybe you make a thread on Twitter, maybe you have a white paper that is called food technology trends in 2023, for example. You can have a Twitter thread with like 5 food technology trends, maybe so and so percent of restaurants. Let's say so and so percent of restaurant owners are using QR codes as menus now, and so on and so forth. 5 different of those statistics, and you put them into a thread, or you list everything into a thread. But you are not necessarily telling people to go and download your full white paper. You are just dumbing down the content that's in your white paper into a Twitter thread or a blog post. That's what's called push. It's basically pushing content from one of your channels into other channels. You are not pulling people into that channel. You are just pushing the content out. Maybe you don't have enough people knowing the statistics in this white paper or in this blog post. You are pushing out the content to other people in other forms. So, like I said before, to be known as content repurposing. Those are 2 basic strategies that you can use to distribute your content. Content distribution is super easy, by the way. So this session is not going to be very long. What I'm saying is not going to be very long. But yeah, these are 2 major strategies that you can use to distribute your content. And now I'm going to go into 2 or 3 tips for you to create a great content distribution strategy. One thing I'll start with is it's a popular mistake that content marketers make, that they start off creating their content and then they start thinking of how to distribute it to other channels. Like you write this really great blog post and then you're now thinking, okay, this was in the blog post too. How am I going to post this on Twitter? How am I going to post it on Instagram? How am I going to post it on TikTok? Blah, 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 and so on and so forth. That's a very common mistake that people make, and that's like the first step to failure, basically. When you are creating your content strategy and you're coming up with your editorial calendar, your content calendar, one thing you need to put into consideration from the very beginning is content distribution and content repurposing. That's a great way to just make sure that everything you need for that piece of content to succeed is already in place before you publish that content. So content distribution should not be an afterthought. That's the first tactic I'm going to give everyone, basically. It should not be an afterthought. It's something that you should think of from the very beginning. And then you should tailor your content while you're writing it safe. just be thinking of how you're going to distribute it for different channels. The second thing I'm going to say is research your target audience, because it's pretty impossible to distribute your content if you don't know who you should be tailoring that content to, or what channels you should be distributing it to. Two questions you should ask yourself is, where does your target audience hang out online? If you are targeting millennials, where would you typically see millennials? If you are targeting, maybe if you work for like a pop tech startup and you're targeting homeowners, where would you typically find homeowners online? Another question you should ask yourself is, what types of content do they like to consume? That will not only influence your content strategy, it also influence your distribution strategy, because if you create a blog post, it's important to know what types of content your target audience wants to see or what they like to consume, and that would inform your distribution strategy. There's no point creating a blog post when you know your target audience is not on TikTok, and you're creating a blog post and you're creating a quick TikTok video to introduce people to the blog post and telling them to go and read it. Like, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your resources. So basically, researching your target audience is something that everybody will tell you, whether you work in social media or you work in product marketing or you work in content marketing, any type of marketing or product management, or almost any type of non-tech in tech role. Researching your target audience is pretty important. And two ways you can do that have worked for me in the past personally would be to simply just ask them. So if you already have an audience, if you're just starting up with a brand, for example, maybe you just joined a brand, just got a new job, you already have an audience on social media. A great way would be to ask them some of these questions. What kind of content do you want to consume? You could use mediums like Instagram polls, Twitter polls. You could even create a short survey or Google form, distribute it to your email list. Basically, just get to know them more. Another way that you could research your target audience is to check out popular research blogs and reports. So a lot of B2B brands, even some B2C brands, I mean, we just saw the PiggyVest Savers reports, right? So even a lot of B2C brands, they now put out reports and white papers detailing a bunch of metrics that have to do with your target audience. If you don't want to ask your target audience, or if you ask them and that hasn't worked for you, or if you've asked them and you still feel like you need to know more about them, a great way to start is that you can research popular blogs and reports or white papers that detail the metrics of your target audience so you can learn about them. I bet you if you check out a lot of social media brands like Buffer or CoSchedule or Later and so on and so forth, some of them might have reports and blogs that have this kind of statistics that you're looking for. So and so percent of millennials are on Instagram. So and so percent of millennials are on TikTok. Gen Z, they typically use this. This social media platform. They typically use TikTok or they typically use Twitter. If you do your research and you're very diligent with it, you're probably going to find a few blogs or reports that have these metrics or that have these statistics that can help you, right? So that's another popular way. That's a way that I know I've done in the past that it has worked for me. So you don't always have to ask them. You can just do your research and you can find some of this information out there. Another tactic I would say used for content distribution is you should also think about distributing your content using SEO. SEO meaning search engine optimization. Sophie has already said a lot about SEO, a bunch of gems that she has dropped. So I'm not going to say much on this, but if you're posting stuff on your blogs, it is always good to be on the safe side and optimize your blog post for search engines so that you don't have to do too much of the work distributing it to other channels as well. A lot of blogs already have search engines or organic search as like one of their number one sources. If you check your Google Analytics property, that's probably your number one source, right? And that's a very great and easy way to distribute content. Like Sophia said already, ranking is easy. So while you're writing your content, try and make sure that you're already optimizing for search engines so that you don't have to do too much work when it comes to distributing. Your traffic to your blog post or maybe to your YouTube video or whatever, social media can only do so much, except you already work for a large brand that has like hundreds of thousands of followers or thousands of followers, right? One thing about search engines is that they don't care how many followers you have. Sophia has already mentioned a bunch of metrics that would be great for you if you want to rank on search engines. But when it comes to social media followers, they don't Google doesn't care how many like followers you have. If your content is helpful and you have your internal linking and your bank links up to standards, then you are going to rank, right? And if you keep republishing and updating your blog posts, you are going to stay ranking on that first page. So that's a great tip to use. It's something that is might not take you a lot of effort as opposed to distributing across several social media channels and like your email list and so on and so forth. Try and make sure that when you're writing your blog post, you're already optimizing for search engines so that search engines can do a lot of the work for you in advance. Another tip that I'm going to use, like I said, I've already mentioned the push, the pull. Make sure you use those two strategies. Those two typically work for organic growth, but don't neglect paid strategies as well. Social media ads, Google ads. If those things are optimized right, they work. So don't neglect them. Don't. I feel like a popular misconception is everybody wants to do everything organically. Like I feel like it is some sort of bragging rights, and that's fine to be honest. It's nice to be able to brag that you did so so and so and so, and you reached so this amount of numbers organically. But you also don't have to do that. If you have the budget for it, please take advantage of paid strategies as well. By that I mean search engine ads like Google ads, there's Bing as well, and social media too. Then, lastly, I think one thing I would say is to make sure to track where your traffic is coming from and let that inform your future strategies. So use your Google, your GA4, use your social media analytics, use like Sophia already said, use UTM trackers. If you are not sure how to go about using UTM trackers or stuff like that, there's something that my I used to do a long time ago before I got the hang of using UTM parameters. I used to use Bitly. So if you use Bitly and you create different links for different you create different short links for different channels that you're distributing your content on, you can now see the analytics of what performed better and which channel and so on and so forth. So go and learn UTM parameters, sha, but just in case you're finding that hard to learn, Bitly is a great way to start. Or any other link shortener is a great way to start and view your analytics before you get to the stage of using parameters. So yeah, like I said, look through all these metrics analytics, whether you're looking at them on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, make sure that those metrics are not going to waste. Um, in content marketing, we talk about tracking these things a lot, but some people might not also be talking about how to use what you track in the future. So if you put out a blog post, for example, you've distributed this blog post and you've used your UTM parameters, different ones on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. There's a reason why these things exist so that you can go back to Google Analytics and look at which one of them has performed better. You can even take a more granular view and look at the different types of content that you put out, your different content pillars, and which have performed better on which channels. So if you have content pillars, like for example, when I was working at Tix, we had event content, we had how to blog posts, we had industry news and stuff like that. Like I said, the event technology trends for 2023. We also had product updates and company news and stuff like that. If you use UTM parameters for all of these things, you can tell that stuff like maybe product updates and company news is better to focus a lot of your distribution efforts on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, that's what people want to see. They want to know more about your company. They want to know more about your products. What updates have been happening? What are you guys looking forward to? What does your 2023 year in review or 2023 roundup look like? etc. For how to blog posts, we noticed that they were doing a lot more on Instagram, and that's how we found out that our Instagram audience was mostly event organizers and not even event attendees, right? So it's like people, when you're posting stuff about like how to create an event budget or an event vendor list for like lighting and food and drinks and so on and so forth, things like that. When we look at the analytics and the metrics, things like that typically did well on Instagram more than other platforms. When it came to like just posting events content, maybe we've been to an event before, we posted a video or we wrote a blog post about our experience, things like that typically do well on TikTok, sometimes on Twitter. So basically, that will help to tailor your content strategy in the future to know that, okay, if I create this kind of blog post, there's no point wasting my time distributing it on this platform when I know that my target audience on that platform, they don't like to read this type of content. That type of content doesn't resonate with them. Or when I'm posting this type of content, when I have a blog post on this type of content pillar, if I'm posting it on Instagram, I need to pay a lot of attention to how I tailor or write the caption and the CTA, because our Instagram audience is particularly focused on this type of content. So I need to optimize that to the best of my ability, basically. It even tailors your ad strategies in the future, because you know that when you post certain type of content and you talk about it on like Instagram, you can now know that there's no point creating maybe a how-to blog post, distributing it on Twitter, and maybe doing a Twitter ad for it is a waste of time. The audience that wants to see it can use the audience that wants to see it on Instagram are on Instagram. So Instagram ads are better tailored to push or to pull traffic to that particular blog post, right? So yeah, basically those are like the tactics that I would say you should use when it comes to content distribution. To give a recap, I said content distribution is basically putting your content, publishing and promoting it in various formats across multiple channels. And it's very important. You can either use your owned, your earned, and your paid channels to distribute your content. And it's typically like blogs or maybe videos that people do, but there are also a lot of other types of content that people like to distribute. Don't forget your pull and your push strategy. Remember that push is pretty similar to proposing your content. Pulling the pull strategy is like driving traffic from other channels into one of your own channels. And then don't forget the tips I said. Make sure you research your target audience, distribute your content using SEO. Don't forget SEO, especially for long form listening content. Is a gem that you will probably really appreciate as a content marketer. And then don't forget to track your metrics and use that to inform your future content distribution strategies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rame. That was very that was very, very packed. You also recapped, so that saves me from, having to recap as well. So I hope that if you've been listening, you're definitely taking notes. I have my pen and my paper with me. I'm definitely taking notes, right? A lot of gems have been dropped. Michael has spoken about how to get started in content marketing. Sophia has talked about the visibility game and expanded on SEO. And Meme just talked about content distribution, own channels, end channels, paid channels, and whatnot. We're moving on to the next phase now, and that's like the main. I like to call this part the main, the main agenda. This is the real ask me anything. So yeah, please note your questions. This is in popular terms, this is why we are here, for you to ask your questions. Questions have been coming in based on the sessions that we've had. So I'll just go ahead and ask that before I ask the questions that were gathered. So before this event, right, we set up a form where people could go and drop questions that they would love to, ask or learn more about, and people did that. If you did not drop your questions on that form, that's not a problem, right? Just drop a question by the comment section, and I will definitely ask as long as it's within the time frame. Michael, I hope you're still here because you have a question. Raven, and by the way, Raven has been very, very active. Raven says, or she's asking, what's the exact step to take when starting a market strategy? Well, I'm guessing this would be content marketing strategy, but like you can answer on both ends, right? But then this is content marketing. But what's the exact step to take when starting? Let's focus on content marketing. When starting a content marketing strategy for a startup.
First of all, I was going to say I don't know what a market strategy is, but yeah, so content marketing strategy for a startup. So I think even for any regular marketing strategy that you're starting for a startup, I think the first thing I want to mention is that a lot of work actually goes into collaborating with other teams. Now, this is not like if you're building a strategy, it's something that is going to most likely going to outlast you. right? You're not just doing it so that you can do something and then forget about it. You're laying the foundation of what the company would look like in 2 years, in 3 years, down the line. Whatever you start is probably what other people that join the company are going to build on. So if you're maybe the first marketer in your particular startup, you have a lot of work to do. And the best way to get it done is to work with other stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I mean the C-suite, and then also work with your product managers. So I'm talking like pro-led companies now. Again, if you're not in that department, I hope this helps. But yeah, I'm talking majorly like product-led companies. So yeah, when I say work with other stakeholders, I'm talking majorly your product managers, because they most likely understand the product a lot more than you do. They are probably more instrumental in how the product was built from the ground up. So yeah, working with them is going to give you insight into, first of all, how the product works, apart from what you already know, and then what other parts of the product are there that can actually be like unique selling points for users. And that's going to take me to the first like practical thing that you can do. So after you're sitting down with your product manager, you're sitting down with probably your CEO, if it's that kind of space where you can meet up with them, and all of you can decide together, okay, who are we building for? That's the first thing. Who are our target audience? So we have, let's say, I always use this example. Let's say you're working in health tech, and what you guys are building is an app that allows people who have diabetes to be able to like get healthcare online, get like medical, like basic checkup from, or chat with a doctor online, stuff like that, or maybe get prescriptions. So yeah, you've built this now. So the first question is, who have you built for? So who is the target audience? It's obviously not me, not because young people don't have diabetes, but when you look at the demographic of people who suffer from that particular disease, they are mostly in their like later years. So that means you're dealing with people who have very limited understanding of how tech as a whole works. They probably use WhatsApp and Facebook, and that's about it. But you've built something for them because you believe that they need it. You've built something for them, and now you have to like figure out a way to make it work, right? So first of all is figure out, as I said earlier, figure out who your target audience is. So now we've decided that our target audience are people who are 50 and above, preferably with health issues, preferably people who maybe used to drink or used to eat a lot of sugar and stuff like that, and now they have a lot of health complications. So we've decided that that's our target audience. Great. Now let's proceed. What are we selling? Now I know this might sound a bit foundational, because now we're talking practically starting a startup now. So what are we selling, right? We have an app, but what are we selling exactly? Because why should I talk to my dad or talk to my mom that, oh, you guys should come and download this app that you might never know how to figure out after like 1 week? So what are we selling exactly? So that's where the unique selling points comes in, and that's why it's important that you're working with your product managers, you're working with your C-suite, because if you're coming in, if you are not part of the building phase of your startup, you're just coming in much later on to do marketing for them, set up a marketing strategy. They need to tell you what exactly it is. You need to define what your USP is. What is that thing that makes your products different? How does this solve the customer's problem? So, for example, something easy that we can say is, oh, you don't have to go to the hospital every time you feel any pain. You can just chat with a doctor. That alone solves a lot of people's problem, because these guys are old anyway. They probably don't have their kids with them every time. They don't want to be stepping out every time. They probably can't drive anymore, right? So you're telling them that you don't even need to drive. You don't even need to do anything. You don't need to pay anything. Just come on the app. The way you chat on WhatsApp, you can chat with someone on the app, and they're going to respond to you. That's your USP. That's a unique selling proposition. Now we have that already, and then we're moving on to like the nitty gritty of marketing now. So you already have the information you need as a first time marketer on the team, or as a content marketer. You know what the target audience is. You know what you guys are selling. You know what the product are selling. Then you need to define what the goals are. Now, what can we achieve? What are realistic goals that we can achieve? Now, I'm saying particularly you, because it's very good that the person that is defining your goals is someone that understands marketing. If you're working with a boss that does not understand marketing, it might be a bit difficult for you, because they probably just want like results ASAP. They don't know what it takes, right? But you know what it takes. You're a marketer, you know how these things work, right? So you set up your goals, you set up your objectives. So you want to say in the first 6 months, and now I'm taking it down to content marketing. Now we can talk about like various kind of goals, but first you can set up goals like tasks, like basic tasks. You want to maybe write product guides that can help them understand how exactly it is that your app works. That's the first one. The second thing, maybe you want to make sure that you get feedback from your current users, or if you don't have any user, do a customer survey or a potential target audience survey, ask people questions, go into the marketplace. And I don't mean market like where they're selling rice and beans. I mean go into the world, be like, hey, can you try out this app? Notice where your people have where they encounter any problem. Maybe when they're trying to sign up, or they're trying to ask a question, maybe that's when they drop off, maybe when their phone hangs. This is a lot of product management, right? What you're doing right now, because it's not just marketing anymore, but because you're just starting out the strategy, you need all this information. You need to document them. You need to explain that, oh, the target audience has no problem understanding the products, but they have a problem carrying out the CTA. Or maybe they have a problem understanding why they need the product. A lot of documentation has to be done. A lot of research has to be done. You're doing the work that maybe if your company survives 10 years down the line, 100 years down the line, a lot of people are still going to be telling you that information. Of course, they're going to have to keep updating it. But for you to update something, that means something else is already existing in the first place. So you have to do a lot of research to figure out what exactly those things are. Then you can set smart goals. You can say, oh, I want to, we're building a website. I want to see how we can increase website traffic maybe by 20% in the first 6 months. I want to see how we can increase user acquisition by 20% in the first 6 months, or by 10% in the first 6 months. Then having that overall goal that we want to get our first 100 users, or want to get our first 1,000 users, we'll not take you to the next thing. How do you achieve that? Or maybe we have a limited budget. Startup always have a limited budget, right? So you're like, how do we achieve this particular goal? We're down to 0 now. We don't have any user. We want to get to 100 before Q1, the end of Q1 2024, before March. So we have 4 months. We have December, January, February, March. How do we get it done? So, and they've shown you the budget, you know what it is, you know what it can do. So then you move on to other like important things. Where can you actually market these products? And that's what takes us back to what Rems was saying earlier about figuring out where your guys are hanging out, where your target audience are hanging out. So we've built a health tech startup now, right? We have a solid product that helps people that have diabetes, people that have liver issues, to get help immediately on the app. They don't have to call their children, they don't have to do anything. The same way they chat on WhatsApp and share broadcasts, they can also do it on the app. Now, if you build something wonderful like that, how do we find people that need it? That's the next question. Now, you don't find them on TikTok. You don't find them on Twitter. You don't find them by doing a dance video on Instagram, or by doing Instagram reels, or by doing a YouTube series. You're not going to find them there. You need to figure out where your target audience is. So for a product like this, it's health tech, right? So there's already a mother company. And when I mean a mother company, I'm talking, there's some industries where you're coming into the industry, but there are people that have been in the industry before you, so they can help you do a lot of work. So for example, you're a fintech, you're coming to the industry, but there are banks already. Now, you're not a bank, right? But banks have a lot of things that they've already made easy. So if you're trying to get your customer, I'm talking about fintech now, to save or invest, you don't need to worry about where the money will come from. It's coming from their bank. You're not working with a bank, right? But because the bank is already there as a mother company in that industry, they make a lot of things easier for you. At the hospitals, right? So it's a lot of what's going on. You go to hospitals, do a little bit of research, let them test out the products. We have these products and we want to market these products. These products, you can talk to 1 or 2 doctors, let them know what their input is. And if you do a great job, and I'm going to talk a little bit about co-marketing later, but if you do a great job, they can say, oh, our users' information is private. We can't give you emails of our users, but we can let you host a seminar where you come and talk to these people on Tuesday. And then if they submit their phone numbers to you or their emails to you, then you can sign them up. And then you say, okay, thank you. I mean, I don't want you to send me any emails. So that's where co-marketing comes in. You are partnering with this particular hospital to do an OOH campaign. This is called Out of Home. So now you're probably your friends are also marketers, are probably doing some cute TikTok videos, Instagram reels, but you are there in the hospital sitting down in a plastic chair talking to your potential customers face to face, because that's where your target audience hang out. They don't hang out on TikTok, they don't hang out on Twitter. So depending on the kind of product that you're building, that you're working with, you need to figure out where the people that you want to talk to are. Where are they hanging out exactly? When you figure out that will determine the kind of marketing channel that you want to work with. You need to have a blog. Do you want to go full on into social media marketing? Do you want to go full on into out of home marketing? Do you want to do a lot of partnerships, a lot of events marketing? All of that is going to be dependent on your target audience and where exactly it is that they're hanging out. And then that can then influence a lot of other things. Maybe all your marketing calendar would look like, or your content calendar would look like if you have something like that. And based off how maybe the first 100 people that use your products, how they experience it, if they have questions, if they are confused, they don't know what's going on, that can then influence how you're going, what kind of content you're going to create in app. I'm always particular about content inside the app for product-led companies, because that's the best way that people can learn about how your product works. It's not on Instagram, because people just come on Instagram, they want to scroll. They pick up one or two things, but they're not very intentional about your product at that point. But when they've logged into your app, that's the best time to let them know that, oh, this is how this particular one works. This is how this particular one. Now, moving on now, let's narrow it down to content marketing now. So yeah, so you figured out all of this, you figured out how marketing should work and all of that, and we want to go into specifically content marketing now. It's content marketing strategy, right? So again, we'll go back to all of these things. Rems mentioned earlier that part of this thing you should include your content marketing strategy from the start, your distribution channels, and that's what I'm going to focus on here. So you figured out who your target audience is, you figured out where they hang out, the distribution channels. Now, what kind of content are they going to resonate with? That's another thing. So you know that they are old, they have health concerns, but you also know that they spend a lot of time on Facebook and WhatsApp. So whatever content you're creating has to be tailored towards that particular space. Do you want to partner with a Facebook influencer? Do you want to share some content specifically on Facebook as opposed to sharing on Instagram and letting Instagram decide whether they want to share on Facebook or not? Do you want to make Facebook your primary distribution channel and then make WhatsApp your primary distribution channel? Maybe do you want to create an audience loop sort of, or a content loop where you send a message to one of your customers, and then that person forwards it to the 10 people on their contact list. And because these people are very good with that kind of viral marketing, they will keep forwarding until WhatsApp says forwarded many times. So there's a lot of thinking, again, as I said earlier, that goes into starting that first marketing strategy, because you're doing the job. You're probably the first marketer, like on City. You're the one doing all of this work. And then when you figured out all of this, you've tried it out for the first 3 months, maybe you've gained a couple of your first users, they've given you feedback, you've seen what's worked, you've seen that, oh, seminars work, but they're not sustainable. Maybe you need to partner with hospitals such that they want to do the seminar for you on your behalf, so you don't have to travel to every hospital in Nigeria. You not need to partner with an HMO. So a lot of things are not going to come into place. Now, as the first marketer on the team, you're going to be working again, I said, with a lot of product managers, even the C-suite, because you're also making like product decisions. But if you're focusing solely on content marketing, a lot of your efforts will be influenced by what is working in terms of the target audience and where they are hanging out. Those distribution channels will now determine what kind of content you want to push into that particular channel. So yeah, this is, I mean, a lot of, trust me, a lot of work, and I really hope that it's not overwhelming for anyone. But yeah, I think I should take a pause there. Vera, is that okay?
Thank you very much, Michael. That was definitely packed. Definitely, Raven, I hope that answered your question. Michael went all the way back and then still touched on what Rem said, and yeah, that should be clear enough. So we do have a couple more questions, and I really want to ask these ones. We have 2 for Sophia, but like we're running short on time, so the responses have to be like really swift. Ijoma, yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, so I don't murder the name. Ijoma is asking, what tool do you use for housekeeping? Sophia, this one's for you.
Okay. All right. So there are various tools. I don't use one tool for housekeeping. Firstly, I go to my sitemap to check for. So the question is, what am I trying to clean up? Right. Am I trying to look for broken links? Am I trying to look for articles that have low traffic, low views? They're not ranking for any keyword. So first is I start by identifying what I'm trying to clean up, right? And then if let's say I'm trying to look for articles that have low views and at the same time I have large content on my site. So I just go through my sitemap. I just assume that, okay, content within this time, say 2020, 2021, are not really getting the traffic that I need. So I just copy out all the content I've written between 2020 and 2021. And then I go to Google Search Console, Google Search Console, and I put the link there, and it shows me the traffic over the period of time that I want, over a selected period of time. So that helps me to know if this article is worth staying on the site, or if I should merge it into another article, or if I should edit it, or if I should just outrightly delete it. And then also on Yoast, if you use Yoast as was one of the SEO tools, you'll be able to see your broken links, and at the same time links that you've redirected to another article. That's 401 redirect. So if you don't want to delete the article and you feel like maybe it's going to be useful, but I don't want to hurt my SEO. I don't want when Google comes back to crawl for this particular link, they'll see a broken link because that's going to harm your SEO. So what you do, you just redirect it to another article. And so people who search for this article will just automatically land on the other one. But you just really need to start by identifying what you want to clean up. If it's site audit, there are other website, there are other tools you can use. Ahrefs also allows you to do a site audit so that you know like your link structure from backlinks to internal link. Another one is SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb, I think the paid version also shows you everything, your site's overall health. So these are some of the tools that you can use for housekeeping depending on what you really want to do. Did that answer the question, Vera?
Yep, I'm answering. I'm really answering for them. I hope that you are, and that your response is satisfactory enough for Ijoma. She asked another question. What's your go-to for keyword research? What's the This is like
This is a whole course. Man, this is a whole course. Bruh.
You know what I'm going to say, Ijoma? We have Sophie as one of our instructors at Blurb, and we're definitely looking at having an SEO masterclass. So this is for you. Come and register, right? Definitely we'll drop details on our social media channels and on our community because this is a full-on masterclass, right? So we'll just go on to you have a compliment to say you're very brilliant.
Thank you. But just so we are not sorry, just give me like 1 minute. Just so we're not maybe ignoring some of these questions. Just to wrap up this question totally that Ijoma asked about go-to for keyword research. I'm just going to tell you what I do, right? So I use SEMrush, I use Ahrefs. Sometimes I use Google Trends. Very few times I use Ubersuggest. So I don't really use Ubersuggest because for me, I think it doesn't have enough data. And because of the blog I'm working on, the kind of people I'm targeting, I tend to use SEMrush. But Ahrefs is pricey, but at the same time, it's actually very good. So SEMrush. What's the balance between search volume and keyword difficulty? Keyword difficulty is, let's start with your site's age. If you have a new site, you can't go for keywords that are higher than 10. And the problem with this is keywords that are between 0 to 10, keywords that have the difficulty between 0 to 10 usually don't have a high search volume. So people tend to confuse themselves. But instead of looking for short keywords that have low difficulty, go for long tail keywords that's 3, 4, 5 letter, 5 word keywords that have low difficulty. For example, sell digital products online or sell digital products can be very competitive. But it's an important keyword that I want seller to rank for. So what do? I go and search for things like best places to sell digital products online. That way it's a long tail keyword. The search volume may never be up to 100, but that's fine. As long as I'm able to rank number one for that. The thing is search volume increases with demand. And if I do a good job redistributing it, it means that it's going to get more eyes on my article. Some people might just even go to Google to search for the article. So your search volume will definitely increase over time. So you should focus on, for young blogs or young sites, focus on low difficulty keywords, ideally between 0 to 20, and ensure that they're long tail keywords, things that probably even make sense on their own, and things that you don't need to add more words to make a meaning out of. So the balance depends on the site I'm working on. For new sites, definitely low difficulty keywords. But for sites like Seller, is a mixture of both low difficulty keywords and high difficulty keywords. Because as you grow, you have more what's the word now? You have more potential to rank for more keywords. Benchmark for settling on a keyword. Again, like it just really depends on the site you're working on, yeah. Your industry, your niche, what are you trying to write about? Then if you're new, make sure that you try to accumulate as many low difficulty keywords as possible. I would, contrary to regular or popular SEO theories, I would say search volume should not be a criteria for choosing a keyword because that can be influenced greatly. If you do a good job at distribution, if you do a good job at redistribution, even search volume is not or should not be a primary factor for choosing a keyword. So that's as much I can go. Like Vera said, you probably have to go to Bluff and sign up for a class or something. But this is a full blown course or a full blown topic on its own. Thank you very much, Vera.
Thank you so much. See, when I said that this is not like a regular test space, hello, we just answered that full power packed question. So now we're going on to the general questions, right? This is outside of the sessions that were asked. These are people's personal questions that they've always wanted to ask on content marketing. And how this is going to go is that I'm going to ask the question and then direct it at, you know, either Sophia, either Michael or Reme. So let's get started. So one of the questions, I'm picking at random, by the way. What advice would you give to someone starting out in content marketing? Sophie, since you spoke, okay, no, let's do Reme. I've not heard Reme's voice after. I've not heard Reme's voice. So this question is for you, Reme. What advice would you give to someone starting out in content marketing?
Hi. I think the major advice that I would give is for them to just start. I think I've written something like this in my newsletter before. Like just start. Like you don't have to get a job, a content marketing job for you to actually start practicing. Create a newsletter, start a social media page, start a blog, just start. Look for how to showcase the skills that you already have, and you'll be surprised at how much you can learn by yourself. And then, if you already have a job and you're looking for how to start in that, the first thing you should start with is strategy. Try and talk to as many people as possible. Like Michael said very early on this webinar, other departments, people in other departments should be your friend. Like content marketing involves collaboration with a lot of other departments. Talk to people in sales, in product management. Talk to developers. Talk to if you can talk to like customers directly as well, talk to them. Like content marketing shouldn't really be only from your brain in quotes. um Try and collaborate with as many people as possible to bring your vision to life and to push your products, push awareness, push acquisition and distribution as much as you can. Yeah, that's the advice I would give.
Great, thank you very much. Very nice that you mentioned your newsletter because you have a lot of fans. There's a question here. Like I said, we collected questions or drafted questions basically from people on social media and in our community as well. And this question goes, hello Reme. I particularly love your newsletters. How do you make them so conversational and easy to read? And would the tone of the newsletter be appropriate for, let's say, a startup? That's how the person put it.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that's probably Reme's network. Let's go on to the next question, and this one will be for Michael. When Reme gets back on, then she can answer that question. Michael, what is your creative process like? Like from starting a piece of content to finishing it, what is your process like?
So it really depends on the kind of content. I think a lot of people, I don't know, think of content as just written content. So I'm having a bit of a difficulty, like figuring out how to explain that, because you also have there's also video content, there's audio content, right? For me, it's always the whole idea of what am I trying to achieve. So I start from the end and then I work my way back to the beginning. So what would success look like? So success will look like 1,000 people talking about this content or 1,000 people signing up because of this content. When I have that at the back of my head, then I come back to what kind of content do I need to create to achieve that result. If I want virality, I know what to tweet. If I want people to actually take action, I know where to do that. So when I have the end goal in mind, I will now work my way back from where I am now so I can achieve the end goal. So yeah, a lot of quiet spaces, particularly for me. I like to work from home. A lot of research, a lot of watching YouTube, a lot of reading up what other companies have done, a lot of reading up like case studies and all of that, just to accumulate a lot of knowledge. I'm most likely not even taking note of anything in particular, and then maybe after a day or two, then I come back to the drawing board and say, okay, what can I create from scratch to achieve the goal I had earlier on? So yeah, I hope that gives some clarity.
Thank you very much. Reme, are you back on? Um, okay, let's move on. Next question. Sophie, how do I go about content marketing? Not particularly as a professional marketer, but as a content marketer that wants to, sorry, not particularly as a professional marketer, but as someone who wants to market her work. I'm guessing person has a small business. Um, yeah.
Person wants to market their work. I'm probably okay. So I think Michael has even done justice to this question because he said something about knowing who your target audience are and the kind of content that resonates with them. So let's imagine that this person is a small business owner who wants to market their say skills and maybe business entirely. So the first thing is to find out which platform do you want to market at. Typically, people would naturally just go and open the three social media channels: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, because they want to be everywhere. But truly, ask yourself where are you most likely to interact with your target audience, right? So if it's TikTok, you just know that you're going to shoot videos. Yeah, there may be a little bit of written text here, but like Michael said, content is not only text. There's also video, there's also audio, there are statistics, there are reports, there's even ebooks. They're still written content, right? So firstly, identify the platform you want to focus on. I really like to say focus or leverage the rule of one, which is essentially focusing on one thing per time. So you can focus on one platform for starters and ask yourself, there are three different types of content. So there's informative content, there's entertaining content, and there's I think commercial too. There's commercial, I think there's also educational. So there are four actually. So you building a solid content strategy means adding these four types of content and making sure that they help you achieve business goals. So while you're putting together your strategy, you should have informative content. What exactly do you do? Tell people what you do. What do you sell? What do you want people to know you for? That's informative content. You're trying to inform people about what you do, or about the service you render, about the products that you sell. So you should have those types of content. For example, you should have what is XYZ? How does XYZ benefit me? Three reasons for you to use XYZ today. These are all informative content. And then there's internet entertaining content where you can use a mixture of memes, or you can even use your audience's content, in this case just to be entertaining. You can use memes to say something like POV, a customer walks in and asks you why yes this price is not this price. Just something really extreme, right? So just I'll just really wrap up by saying that your content strategy should have these four types of content embedded in them, because that's how you would begin to sell yourself. Personally, I like to begin by informing you. So I need to have informative content. What is this? How does this benefit me? If you're a product owner or a business owner, you should be speaking in benefits and not features. If you're selling XYZ, don't just tell me you're selling XYZ. Ask me if I want to make $1 million in 5 hours. If I tell you yes, then introduce your XYZ product to me immediately. So it's just understanding your target audience, focusing on one platform per time. If you can do more than one, that's fine. But again, personally, I just like to abide by the rule of one. So you can focus on one platform per time. And then next is start with your informative content and then mix it up. It's not content is not rigid. Content is not supposed to be rigid. You're supposed to be flexible. Sometimes just go with the flow. For example, when seller there was a time on Twitter when this whole 101 trend started, right? So when I first saw that trend, it was just a few brands that had posted it. It wasn't really as viral as I thought it was. So I immediately just spoke to Lydia, our social media manager, like, Papa, let's just jump on this thing. That's because personally I think content should be flexible. Of course, you should have your calendar, you should have your strategy, but make room for in case anything happens, right? So yeah, I guess that's how you just start using content to sell yourself.
Thank
And
you.
lastly, is sorry, one more thing is show it. Don't just tell us, show it. So I noticed that I talk about SEO online, but when I maybe post a result or post a ranking or say something or just show a screenshot, it has more reactions than a regular today I was looking for 5 backlinks or I built 5 backlinks. That's because when it comes to selling yourself, you have to show it. Show us your evidence, no matter how small. So that will be it.
Thank you very much. The words of Bernard. Explain, explain, explain. No evidence. So show your evidence. Um, thank you very much, Sophie. Reme, are you up now? Is the connection better?
Hi, sorry, can we repeat the question?
Okay, yes. So I was saying that you definitely have a fan here. Someone asked, "Hello, Oloi Reme. I particularly love your newsletters. How do you make them so conversational and easy to read? And would the tone of the newsletter be appropriate for a startup?" Yeah, that's the question.
Oh, I think I just answered that question, or did everyone not hear me? Just checking.
No, we actually couldn't hear you.
Oh, wow. Hey, so
Yeah.
everything I said. Okay, but can everyone hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. So I said it's really nice to hear that people really like my newsletter, and yeah, it's really nice to hear that because I put a lot of work into trying to stay consistent. It's not easy writing a weekly newsletter and still having like a 9 to 5, and still like I have a bunch of other hobbies that I take pretty seriously as well. So it's great to hear stuff like that from time to time. My number one tip for writing newsletters like that, honestly, is to write the way I talk. I write the way I talk. If you read my newsletter before and you've heard me speak, you would know that I write the way I talk. Like literally, I just put it down. I spit as I'm writing. I literally spit it out, and then I edit like structural and grammatical errors here and there. But I mostly write the way I talk, and that's what kind of informs my newsletter tone of voice. But that's also because it's a personal newsletter, so it might be pretty different from a startup environment. To answer the question about the whole startup, is that how you should be writing a startup newsletter? Like what I said before was you should try as much as you can to talk to people that know your target audience. So if you work in a startup that has like a sales department or a customer success department, people that relate to your customers directly, try and talk to them and find out how your customers want to be addressed, how they want to be referred to, right? That would help you inform what your brand tone of voice should be. If you're asking me this question, that means your startup probably does not have a set um, a set brand voice in quotes, right? And that's how I would say that's how you should figure out your brand voice because honestly, different things work for different startups. You could be working at PiggyVest and this kind of tone works for your newsletter, and then you move to working for I don't know maybe Carbon. Let's say you move to working for Carbon, and Carbon customers don't like to be spoken to like that. They want to see like customer. They want to see a more corporate voice, brand of voice, right? So the best way I would say to figure that out is to speak to your customers directly or speak to people that relate to your customers directly. Speak to the sales department, speak to customer support, speak to anybody that talks to your customers and let them tell you or let you know how your customers want to be referred to, how they like to be spoken to. That should help you make a decision on how to brand your voice across different channels. And another thing I would add is that your brand voice should be consistent. You shouldn't sound friendly on social media and your blog, you're sounding corporate, Try and make everything uniform. And speaking to those people should help you tailor that. I hope everyone heard me this time.
Yes, yes, we definitely did. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. This has well, it's almost 2 hours. We will be rounding up now. Um, Sophie, Michael, Reme, thank you very much for doing this. Thank you to everyone who dropped questions. We couldn't ask everything because of time. There were just a lot more questions, but we'll keep it for some other time, right? Is there any advice you'd love to give to a content marketer? You've said basically everything, Steph. I don't even know what else there is to say, but I'm sure there's something deep down inside that has brought you guys where you're at now, that you're dropping these kind of gems. So if there's any, last, like, I don't want to say last words, but like advice that you'd love to tell a newbie marketer, content marketer. Yeah. Michael, let's start with you.
All right. I think what I would say is something related. I think Sophia had mentioned it or Rems about that you don't have to wait until you have you have a content marketing role yet, just do everything with what you have right now. The beauty of content marketing is that you can personalize it. So anything you can create for your brand, you can create for yourself. You want to do email marketing, start your own newsletter. You want to do video marketing for video content marketing, start posting on your own social media pages, right? So you just practice a lot of all those things. Most people that are very great at content writing, for example, they will tell you that they've been writing before they got their first job. They're probably writing for fun and then decide to get serious with it. It's not until you get the job that you start doing what you should have been doing. Actually, it is doing it over time that will probably make you like very great at the job. And I would say that you should always learn and try to explore, even outside of what your current role allows you. If you want to build a solid career in content marketing, and maybe your current role only allows you to write, that means you're missing out on what audio content looks like, what video content looks like. There's a lot of other types of content that you're missing out on just because your current role does not allow you to do that. So you can volunteer for a company, you can volunteer for a blog, for example, and say, hey, I'm a content marketer. I want to create video content for blog just to get that experience in video marketing. Because if you want to like get more big roles, more like lead roles in content marketing, you need to have an overall understanding and experience of how every part of content marketing works, not just written content. So yeah, rooting for you. Keep reading, keep learning. To be honest, that's it.
Thank you very much. Rema, you have another fan here. Oroluwa says, another fan here. I take Rema's newsletter seriously. She drops gems. That is the truth. So Rema, from your end, any advice from like to rather music?
First of all, all right, you're making me blush. Thank you very much. And like I said before, I love hearing stuff like this about my newsletter. It encourages me to keep going because it's not easy, like writing a weekly along with every other thing I'm doing. The one tip that I would give anybody just starting in content marketing is to read a lot. Sorry, first of all, guys, can you hear me? Just making sure.
Yes, we can. I feel like
Okay.
this thing has we can hear you.
Yes, we should. I would say anybody starting out in content marketing, you should read a lot. If you were previously not a very big reader, learn how to cultivate the habit of reading. Read, and that's why in my newsletter I always add like things that I saw this week that that I loved, or things that I saw this week that caught my attention. It could be about marketing, it could be about random stuff. If you like anime, it could be about anime, it could be movie reviews, it could be film reviews. Reading a lot, you cannot underestimate how consuming a lot of content can help you in your role. You don't know which strategy you see somewhere or which tactic you see somewhere that you figure out that, oh, it can actually work for the startup you are working for, or for your personal brand, or for your type of business. So just cultivate the habit of reading a lot. Consume as much content as you can, to be honest. You don't know how it's going to help you, just consume it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Any advice?
Yeah, so I would say firstly is while people will give you the grace of you're just starting content marketing, so just explore and try your hands at a lot of things, you should learn how to tie your content marketing efforts to business goals, because at the end of the day, the whole point of doing content marketing is because a business or a brand has a particular goal they want to achieve. Then lastly is get ready to fail, because you will fail big and you will fail hard and you will feel like a big girl and nothing's going to happen. Like your village people did not attack you. It's just part of the things you will jam on this road of content marketing. So just give yourself that freedom, allow yourself to fail and see what failure really does mean, and then see what you can do from that failure. I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. But yeah, that would be
Yeah.
all. Very much.
Thank you very much. See that fail part here. I refuse to comment, but um, thank you very much. Even Orelua laughed because out here is the wild and the deep and the jungle.
Working in marketing is not for the faint-hearted at all.
One. Thank you very much. This was definitely the bomb, like for lack of a better word. I feel like I'm giving all the old Gen Z terms, but we gave the ate awesome. Again, thank you to our three speakers. You guys made this session very insightful and definitely very educative. So just quick announcement before we go off, right? This is our very first AME AMA session, Ask Me Anything session, Ask Me Anything webinar, event, whatever you'd like to call it. And this is definitely going to be a continuous thing, right? So we'll be having future AMA plans. If you would like to have, first-hand access to, further or future AMA plans, you can join our community, right, on Telegram. Yeah, you can join our community on Telegram, and then you can also follow us across our social media channels at TriBlog. We're on Elon Musk's Internet, X, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, and you will definitely be getting a recording of this session, right? We will send it directly to your mails. You registered, and that's why you're here. And then this rest assured that this power-packed masterclass / PhD advanced content marketing class will be found in your mail. I can assure you that. Shegila said, thank you all so much. This has definitely been insightful. Yes, good night and God bless you. Thank you for coming.